Mark Twain famously said, "The two most important days in your life are the day you were born and the day you find out why." So today we're going to be talking about life purpose. Do you have a life purpose? Should you have a life purpose? Do you want one? What gives your life purpose, and can it be taken away?
And I think we talked about this a little bit, and we tried to come up with a way to make this simple for people to digest, so we gave it a number. We have a certain amount of things we're going to try to address here today. Am I right, David? Now,
yes.
This makes it easy for people to remember, but I can't remember what the number is. So can you tell me how many things were we thinking today?
We've whittled it down to 178 points. Right? So if you guys can just stick with us through our 178 points, then we're going to be in good shape. Yeah, we're going to be in good shape. No, actually, I have it organized in my head as 7 things.
I like that number.
7 things. But of course, within each 7, there probably are 178 little pieces.
Huh?
That's probably true. Mm-hmm. So the first thing I think about life purpose that I've learned, at least about life purpose, is, I've heard a lot of people say, "I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing here." Or a lot of people feel like they're supposed to have a career in mind or some big goal in life, and they're like, "I don't know what I want to do."
Yeah.
And I think the first wrong conversation about life purpose is thinking that you don't already have one. You do. You may not be conscious of it. Right. It may not have been something that you decided consciously, but you have one, right?
Sure. And
this all comes down to this Carl Jung quote that I really love, and I think this puts it together really well. He said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate." In some way, everyone's serving something. Like, you are a machine serving goals, at some level. The question is, are you aware of what you're serving?
Sure.
Right?
Sure. Right.
And do you want your life to be unconscious? Do you want to be unconscious about the motivations and the purposes you're serving in your life?
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, I think you'll never really probably truly get that sense of fulfilling your purpose if you don't ask that question. But when you consciously pursue the thought of what is my purpose, and you start putting that out there, if you're putting your focus on purpose, you're much more likely to find it. You know what I mean? To consciously become aware of that. Yeah.
If you're not aware of what it is, then you don't get the satisfaction. You don't get the feeling of having done something of meaning in your life, right?
Right.
Even if you're doing it.
No, I agree. Like, one of the ways I would say I try to talk with people like that, whether we're talking about life purpose or not, is the incalculable amount of things that brought you to where you are, right? Like, the perfection it took, this cannot be a mistake. You are fulfilling something, you know what I mean? That would be a way that I might verse what you just said, because I truly believe that,
Just don't make the mistake of thinking that just because you haven't defined a life purpose, that you're not serving one.
Right.
I just think that's an important, in the beautiful way, just like you said, where you are here for a reason, and it's really good to connect with that. And also good to remember that you're just being led by impulses then, like, either way. So there's a light and a dark side.
Sure. No, I feel that. I like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's number 1. And that leads us right into number 2. A lot of times another mistake is that people think your life purpose has to be some grand worldly achievement or something. I'm going to be a famous musician.
Right.
I'm going to make $1 billion. I'm going to invent a cure for cancer, right? These are all fine things to chase.
They're wonderful. Yes, right.
But they don't have to be huge like that.
Right. Well, most of us are not going to achieve something like that. So then if we can't, then we have no purpose in life? No. It makes me sad even hearing it and thinking about that, because I know lots of people feel that way, actually. It's kind of like, what does it matter? I'll never do that. Oh, it matters. Your life matters, Yeah.
I think in America, we all think that we should have a big dream because we were raised on that, right?
Oh, yeah.
Follow your dreams. You can be anything you want to be. First of all, can you? And second of all, anything you want to be
Right.
for everybody? Yeah.
Right.
Right. So, first of all, reality has an opinion too,
Yeah, I love
but second
that,
of all,
yeah.
it doesn't have to be grand. I think about, I really love when the Beatles were getting famous. And they got asked a lot because Beatlemania erupted in such a fast and profound way. And they would interview them and say, well, when this is all over, what are you going to do? Because it was just like, this can't last. I remember Ringo was like, well, I really have a dream of opening up a hair salon. And he was really sincerely said
Yeah.
that. Well, maybe I can use some of the money I got here to open up a string of hair salons. I've always wanted to do that. You think Ringo Starr's dream, as he's a Beatle, is still
Right.
just open up a hair salon, and to him that was a big dream. And I just love that because well, now he just gets to be a super multimillionaire uber rock star for the rest of time.
Right, right. It's important to realize that you are doing big things in the little things that you do. It's all connected kind of thing, I mean, it's really true. And it's really important to connect with that. And sometimes asking that question, I loved when you said that there's so much energy and purpose. And it's so true, I've said to people like, if you have this task before you and say it's, shoveling off snow. I just shoveled a ton of snow, David. A ton of snow. Anyways, and, this seems so mundane and just like, gosh. But if my child's life, like if I couldn't get out the driveway because they needed to get to the hospital, that purpose would be completely different, right? Like my energy in shoveling that driveway would completely shift. And that's because I would have a very clear purpose to what I'm doing and why. Well, there's lots of ways to do that. Like washing the dishes can be like that. One of those is you're setting, if you have children, you're setting an example for your child on how to keep a house, or you know what I mean, or how to take care of your responsibilities and do them well and do them happily and all this sort of thing. Sounds so small, but that's the kind of ripple, like, a child raised in an environment where that's all taken on well and, is meaningful. That's a meaningful contribution to the history of humanity, actually.
It is.
Yeah.
I love that you said the ripple, and I think we're going to come back to the ripple
Okay.
later. I have a ripple thing.
2 is taking a long time. We better get to 3.
Well, two's a big one, but we're bleeding into 3 already. To me, and again, you can divide these in any way you want, but 3 to me is that not all purpose is equal. Like some purpose really works in you naturally, and some doesn't. And some purpose works for people, other people around you, and some doesn't.
Yeah.
And not all purpose is equal, and it's not up to you what's valued in, like almost as, like you do get to choose to some degree what you value. But there are rules to just the way we're made, the way we're built, the way the universe operates.
Sure,
right?
Yeah.
We watched a movie last night that was really great. It's called The Lion in Winter.
Okay.
It's like a movie from the 60s with Peter O'Toole and Katharine Hepburn in it. And it's all about, and it's all about Henry II. He's the king of England, and he's trying to decide which of his 3 sons is going to inherit the throne. But what happens in this movie is all that matters to Henry is that this thing he built all his life's purpose, to unite and build England, will survive after him. And he's put that above everything, including his sons. All right? But now he has to give this to one of his sons. And the dilemma in the movie is that none of the sons are worthy of it, and none of them are going to be able to carry it through. And they all hate him, and none of them are going to carry his dream forward. And he realizes this. And so, his purpose was to build this England, but his purpose is going to die with him.
Right.
Because he didn't quite serve the right thing.
The right thing. Because they're not all equal,
Because it's not equal, right?
Yeah. Perfect, David.
Yeah.
That is beautiful. I love that. Yeah.
All right, so that's number 3. And number 4 is something that we call to a lot, which is that famous quote that a man never steps in the same river twice, for it is not the same river, and he is not the same man. right? And that's the fact that your life purpose, first of all, life is always changing, your environment is always changing, and your life purpose is always changing and evolving. So life purpose is not a decision you make once. It is a process you constantly need to be undertaking.
Right.
That sounds really tiring, but I really think that I know that my life purpose is constantly evolving, just whether I like it or not, because it has to, you know?
That's what I might add to this, just something we've talked about, I feel like quite a bit, having that big goal, that compass setting purpose. And that would, to me, always be more than a career, more than writing a book, as I've done or something like that. Like, these are wonderful things, but they're not the big thing. They're not the thing, personally, for me, that pulls me through my life, that keeps me, because why? One of the reasons is these things always change. You know what I mean? Meaning your job changes very often. I mean, this is especially in our new day and age, right? I mean, like, it's very common to shift careers completely, and so these things, if this is our life's purpose, that could be changed, that we can lose it, so to speak. And I don't think that your truest, deepest life purpose is something you can lose, or should. It should be something that's pulling you through your entire, till the day you breathe your last breath, that sense of purpose. There's certain purpose should be with you, I feel like.
The work is never done, but the work gets more fulfilling with time if you're really in touch with the purpose behind it.
Exactly,
right?
Yeah. Another way I might put number 4, is that where we're at?
Sure, 4.
Well, another way I might put it, too, is, because I said this to you, I think, at some point, was that, you could think of this as being a student of life, and of your life. And I think it pays to do that, to be a student of your life. Because, again, like we said, there's always something to be gained, if you want to call it, if you want to say it that way, or there's always something to learn. And as soon as we shift it to learning, that's when this is a famous sort of, like, there's no such thing as failure. Right? Because the moment that you take failure and you learn something from it, it's no longer, it's on your way to success, sort of thing, right? I mean, I think becoming a student of life is really important for that, and to take on that perspective that you're not here for one simple gain, but that it's an ever unfolding thing. And life's always trying to teach us something, right, David? It's just, are we willing to learn? Are we looking? Yeah.
So the next one is near and dear to my heart, number 5, because this is a lesson I've just keep learning over and over and over again as I try to divine my own life purpose, is that you don't have to know your life purpose in order to fulfill it. And that sounds really strange to me. That, like, what does that mean?
No,
right? You don't have to know it in order to fulfill it. And so the archetypes I think about are sometimes, like, I think about a soldier on a battlefield, and he's with his fellow soldiers, and a grenade gets thrown in, and somebody in that group decides to jump on that grenade, and he saves his friends' lives. Yeah. And that is a meaningful purpose to serve. But was that a plan? That was not a plan.
Right.
That soldier didn't know that that's what life was going to give to them, and then what their choice was going to be, and what the purpose was going to be. So, or a parent, like, you can think you're living your life for some career goal. You have a kid, then all of a sudden you realize it's much more important to me to be a parent, right? That's like a shift.
Yes, exactly. Like Peter O'Toole in the movie, right? Oops, I messed that one up, right?
Yeah, exactly. Whoops. Yeah, I should have been here,
Right.
And a personal story that really drove this home just a couple months ago is that, I spend a lot of time making music for myself. I've kind of dedicated my life to writing some songs and releasing things. And I'm always, I pay attention to whether, well, is this landing with anybody? Does anyone care? Does anyone relate to this? Is this serving a purpose, either for me or for them or for something? And then sometimes you think, no, it's just really for me or something. And then I'll get a message, and somebody will, this happened to me. Somebody said, I'm in the intensive care unit. I'm in the ICU with a dear friend of mine, and they're kind of unresponsive, and we really like this one song of yours that we've been listening to for 20 years. It's an old song of yours. We can't find it anywhere. I think playing it for her in the hospital would help bring her out
Oh my
of
God.
this thing she said.
Yeah.
And well, it's not every day you get a message like that.
Yeah.
And
No.
and I had no idea I was fulfilling a purpose. First of all, to me, this was a song that I was always a little bit. I never cared that much about this song.
Yeah.
I always thought it was not one of my better songs, and it's from over 20 years ago, and I never have any idea that anyone's listening to it at all. Meaning,
Right.
my idea of this purpose is that it's long asleep, it's dead, it's gone,
Right.
it's over, and it was never great to begin with. But in the background, unknown to me, it was serving some purpose that I never could have in my wildest dreams hoped for it.
Right. Yeah.
And that was so humbling, not just because the story is humbling, but just because it reminds you that you have no
don't
idea
know,
what you're
right.
doing here.
Right. I don't want to, we don't want, but I just had the similar thing, and I'll make it short because I don't even know if it's really right to share too many details, but I had a similar thing. I'm going about my day, busy, kind of crazy, and all of a sudden I get this text from somebody I never get a text from. I didn't even know, I'm not even sure I knew he had my number, actually, and it was a similar sort of thing, just like, wow, I just wanted you to know how much you've meant to me and how you've inspired me. All these just amazing, like you're saying, humbling things from somebody that I'm not even sure that I was aware I was on their radar like that, if that makes any sense, And
Yeah.
like, what did I do and how did that happen? I don't even know. But I was fulfilling a purpose, apparently. And I know, by the way, I'm sure you can say this too, David, that there's people in my life that have done that for me that probably don't know that. You know what I mean? Right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is part of that example. Like, you don't need to know it to be fulfilling it. I do believe that.
Just to put it quickly, it just comes down to the fact that, people don't love you for the same things for the same reasons that you think you have value. People find value
get it.
in you in
Yeah.
ways that you don't even know that you have, or that, like you said about the person who reached out to you, like you don't even know that you're giving this to this person.
Sure.
You might think you have something else to offer them, but what they're getting from you is something different.
Exactly.
And you just may not be aware of it, but it doesn't mean the value is not being exchanged. Yeah.
That's right. And it can work both ways, right? Tell me we all don't know this person who's working so hard to try to get you to value this thing in them or to see them a certain way. And the whole time you're going, that's not what I'm seeing. You know what I mean? So sometimes
I don't care about that so much. Yeah, but this
Yeah.
other part of you,
Yeah,
you don't seem to
exactly.
want to pay attention to. I love that part. In
Right.
fact, it's so meaningful to me. That's why I want you in my life so much. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. All right, well, let's move on to number 6.
Tell me about number 6, David.
Your purpose for life, or in life, and life's purpose for you may not be the same thing.
Ooh,
Right?
another tricky one. Yeah.
Yeah, like so you can divine or invent or discover your purpose for life. What do you want to do in life? But meanwhile, life is busy with you. Life is doing something with you. And those two things may or may not, they're related, but they may or may not be the same thing. I don't know, it's just really important to remember that you have a goal and life has a goal. Like life on the broader sense. It's doing something with you. And I think it's just really good, something to think about and to kind of ponder is, what do I want to do with this, and what does it want to do with me?
I think that's it right there. And the fact that to notice and realize that there can be a difference there, and that difference isn't always bad. But I do think, personally, in my own experience and even working with people, that aligning those things is when you're going to get the most powerful effect, right? It just kind of makes sense, right? So what we talk about in the river sometimes, like, yeah, you can swim upstream, but, the stream is trying to move you. And you can do it, and maybe that's your purpose, for a part of your life, and it'll give you strong arms, and, But eventually, I think it behooves us to find the current and to work with the current, to figure out what life does want from us a bit.
I say this a lot to people when I'm coaching is that, okay, you're coming here with a dilemma or with a goal, and we're trying to find solutions, but we need to find a solution that is natural to our nature.
Right.
And I like that little turn of phrase, because a lot of us don't spend a lot of time thinking about what is our nature. Like, what is life trying to do with us? Like, we are almost just a platform or a medium or a vehicle for life to do its thing.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
You know, and it's really good to know what that is. So because going back to number 3, which is not all purpose is equal, you know, if you're trying to fight your nature or the goals of life itself, you can have a harder time.
Yeah. Comes down to sustainability again, right? Like we've talked about this before, you know.
Yeah, you're going to have a harder time. And even if you win a few rounds, it's just not going to feel the way it should.
Yeah.
And so it really pays to realize that there's 2 different goals happening, yours and life's, and like you said, to see if you can bring them into alignment. We may not be capable of comprehending life's purpose for us, but it doesn't mean it's not there.
That's it.
And it doesn't mean we shouldn't search. It doesn't mean, right?
Yeah,
and
I
it's
agree.
okay. If you feel like the whole thing is one big confusing question mark, it's okay.
Yeah. Questions are good. Questions
are good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tip and trick.
And that leads us in my tips and tricks. There you go.
Sorry, go ahead.
Life hack.
Life hacks.
So number 7 is hard for me to, and this is the last one, and this to me is a punchline. But man, this one is hard to express, and so I've got a few different ways of saying it.
Okay.
But and it goes back to that movie, The Lion in Winter. Now that I think about it, how he focused all of his life to build this country, conquer these lands, build this whole thing, but because he didn't focus on creating the kind of people who can carry his legacy on, that his legacy is just going to fall apart, meaning what he dedicated his life to is just going to be dust in the wind as soon as he's gone. And I think that's something that is way more true than any of us want to admit.
Sure.
Is that no matter what we build or what we do, it does, like those things, the things we build, the career we build, the product we do, whatever it is, the house you build, the music I make, puff in the wind. So if you focus your life purpose on things like that, fine. It's going to take you places that are meaningful, but is that really where the meaning comes from?
Right.
And where does that meaning come from? And it's not about those things. And so that's the Lion in Winter thing. And there's another movie that I saw recently that had a really great quote, and that was the movie Dune. They did a remake of Dune.
Yeah.
And I wrote it down here. It says, and I forget where it was in the movie, but the mystery of life is not a problem to solve, but a reality to experience. And I just love that.
Sure.
Quote you're not trying to find an answer. You're not trying to build a thing. like what you really have, what you're really left with is the experience of the process.
Yeah. In a strange way, this comes back to I don't know if it was the last one we did or 2 ago or something, but who's doing it?
Yeah.
In a strange way, I don't know if that's a hard, cross wire there, but
who shows up?
Who's doing it? Yeah, that has a huge impact, and it has a lot less to do with doing, and more to do with being, right?
And that's why when people come and they say, "Okay, I want to do this thing. How do I do this thing?" And I say, "Well, let's ask a deeper question. Who would you like to be?"
Right.
Right, because that's a deeper question, it comes with deeper answers and solutions and deeper power.
That's it. More energy, even again, if you can
More
tap
energy.
into that. Yeah.
Once you realize that all you really have is consciousness and awareness and the experience of living,
Yeah.
right? That that whatever you build, I like to think of it this way: like it's nothing that you have lasts, but everything you do lasts. And this is what I meant at the beginning of our conversation when I said we're going to come back to these ripples.
Yeah.
Because every action you do and the awareness you have, it is like the pebble dropping in the pond and the ripples going out.
That's right.
Right? Like doing the dishes is setting an example for your kids, which changes the world.
Yeah. No, exactly.
Right? So your purpose lasts forever. Right? Like the things you do last forever. The things you build, a monument, a building, a song, a career,
Yeah.
not as much, right?
Yeah. This reminds me of the Four Agreements. I don't know if you ever read that book. Really famous. I can't remember the author's name right now.
I know of it. Yeah, I know
Don
of it,
Miguel or something like that. Anyways, yeah. And one of the things that stuck with me from that book, because I read it was a long time ago now, but was that always do your best was one of the rules. Always do your best. And that sounds like, whoa. But then the thing that I took away from it the most was that, and realize that your best is not always the same. Like, the best you can do on 2 hours sleep is a lot different than the best you can do on 8 hours sleep, right? What does this have to do with? Well, I think if we're always focused there, if this is part of our life's purpose to always do our best, the ripples that come from that are going to be, they're going to be of a different nature. That makes sense. And also realizing that our best is not always the same. We can cut ourselves some slack because we can create a lot of negative energy, right? If you're feeling like, I'm just not doing this as good as I did yesterday, you know what I mean? Kind of thing, right? But always do your best and realize that your best is not always the same. But that's your focus, though. We're all capable, and that best changes too, right? In other words, too, my best now is a lot different than it was when I was, 20 years ago. Meaning, I have a much higher responsibility, actually, now. Because I'm capable of a lot better behavior, you know what I mean? If you want to put it that way, mindfulness in my life, which is wonderful. And I know the ripples that come from that are much better,
There's a famous quote that that people often like to attribute to Buddha. But they say Buddha now. It's a fake Buddha quote.
Okay.
So one of my favorite fake Buddha quotes is, "Your purpose in life is to give your life purpose."
Yeah. I love that, David. If you don't mind for just 2 seconds, I'd love to go off on that. I've done this before, but we are transmutational machines. It's part of all of our purpose. If you want to bring beauty into life, then appreciate beautiful things. You're creating beauty when you do that, Whether that's what every artist does, right? Whether it's the cigarette butt on the, you know what I mean? But they just take it in a certain way, and holy cow, look at that, it's gorgeous. He saw beauty, he created that beauty in a strange way through him or her, You want meaning, you want purpose. Find meaning and purpose. You have that ability. You're a transmutational machine. You can turn meaningless acts into meaningful things, like doing the dishes.
And that is why I wore this shirt today.
Show me the shirt. I can't see it. Oh, tell me.
This is a shirt I made.
Oh, that's right.
Maybe I'll put a link on this video where you can get this shirt to help support our channel.
Do it.
This shirt says, "This machine," meaning me, "converts raw energy into acts of meaning." Right?
I love it.
So this is when I say we want solutions that are natural to our nature. I do think it is our nature and our purpose given to us by life. Like life's purpose for us is to divine or discover meaning.
Yeah.
Right? And to give the things we do meaning. Right? And that's life purpose. And so what we do in our lives, and we are kind of these machines that we eat our food, we get our energy. What do we do with it? We divine meaning.
Put the link. I'm going to buy one.
All right.
I promise.
I have to create the link. Okay. One sale. You, Adrian, will be supporting the Wrong Conversation YouTube series podcast, as if you're not supporting it already.
Well, it's the next level. It's the next level of support. I'm in.
Yes. All right. All right. Well, those are the 7 deeply established, unchangeable rules of life purpose. There's no more beyond that 7, and there's no less, and there are only 7, and they are always to be divided in that way, or else you're wrong.
Oh my goodness. Perfect.